No, I'm good, thank you.
Hey, good morning.
Morning.
Yes. Chris wants us to look this way. Maybe a little lock thing with the camera. Oh. Always forget about the camera.
Well, we're trying to work on the audio.
Wonder what I say, thinking I'm not being recorded.
Since somebody else is here, I'm trying to have fun to run, so I'll skip it all.
What's that?
I'm gonna run this all upstairs. I think I've got a minute or two I can get it.
All right, the electrician's gonna be a while, so I gotta work on that. Okay, thank you. Uh-huh. Of course, yeah.
You know, you never know, I guess.
It is 9:35, so.
But as I say, I've noticed in my couple of years or whatever here, there's a Roy Wheeler time,
Well, I'm usually always on time, but this morning I just wasn't.
tends to be a little later.
Yeah.
I've figured out.
All right.
Where are all your fans?
I don't know. They must be enjoying this beautiful weather.
Unbelievable.
unbelievable for sure. So, this particular topic, interestingly enough, came up in the goal summary sheets.
Mhm.
A couple of people that asked for it on here.
So,
Which is, you know, it is what it is, but I think it's a good idea, and I think my thought process is that we'll kind of set it up once every couple months to do sort of a roundtable type of scenario that you know, just brings up, you know, sort of things that you guys are coming across, or whoever else attends that other ones are coming across in regards to the marketplace. And you know, it could be good things that are coming across. It could be challenging things, but I just think you know, this particular class agent helping agents, it's a perfect place to do this. And so anyway, I have some you know, sort of some thoughts. But as you come into the class, and if anybody's watching, text me. I'm going to try something different today too. 434-227-9118. So if you want to pitch in and offer your own input, that'd be great, or things that you want us to talk about. Anyway, as you head into, you know, we're 1 month into the new year, you obviously have some ideas as to where you want your business to go. What are you finding so far, and what kind of things can I help you with, or can we help each other with?
I'm just still learning everything, trying to get a feel of the lay of the land, and just trying to get myself out there, and have to work on the social media part, because I think that will possibly help some, but I need to.
So mark down March 13th. March 13th, Brittany will be here.
Okay.
Reach out to Jay, just because you guys are here. You can reach out to Jay and get signed up for one of those one-on-ones, because those don't last very long. I think that's a great place to, and then also, if you're willing to travel, February 12th, Carl Garrett is doing a class out at the Rockfish Community Center out there on 150 Fun.
yeah.
You're going down that hill, and it's that little, it used to be a school, it used to be Rockfish Elementary School. Hey guys, so it is doing a class on February 12th at, I can't remember the time, but get you that information. But those are two places that right away, that's the microphone. I've told Chris,
Cameras over there.
Yeah. But anyway, so as it relates to, I think it's really, really important. I saw on LinkedIn last night, I think it was LinkedIn, Casey Crawford, who's the president, founder and president of they've created a we do this well, but again, anytime you see Chris post something, you want to share that onto your page. What happens is that's where it exponentially ripples out. You know, I can share on my page, and I've got, I don't know, 4,000. But if I send you guys and you send it out and you've got a couple hundred, and then somebody else likes it and then they share it, that's what really makes you. I'm not trying to spend a lot of money. Went on the pregame Super Bowl show all day long. Was after the game started. Roy Wheeler Realty, Chris's phone number, website, And I asked Chris, I didn't get a chance to find out if he found out to see if our Google Analytics jumped up yesterday or Sunday. But the point being is that I posted it 2 or 3 different times. I posted a still photo, I posted video. I bet you not 2 or 3 real people shared it. A couple, 3 people liked it. Yeah, but didn't share it. And
Did you get, but because they saw it on TV, or did they get a prompt from Facebook, or how did they even know?
Michael shared it and Roy Wheeler shared it.
I shared it and
I don't have my phone with me,
You
but
obviously have access to the Roy Wheeler Facebook posts and everything.
Yeah, Chris and I are administrators.
Right.
I pretty much do the Twitter.
Right.
And we both share the Facebook and the Instagram.
Because I saw both.
Right.
but you saw it because you got an email that said it
No,
was.
literally just scrolling in your news feed. See Michael, friends with Michael Guthrie.
With Facebook. But you got to be on
If you like
Facebook.
Roy
That's right.
Wheeler, you have
But you gotta be on
Facebook,
Facebook.
yeah.
You got one, you got to be on Facebook. 2, you got to like the Roy Wheeler
Right.
business page, which I hope you have. If
Yeah.
you have Facebook.
I would assume I have.
But anyway, this isn't. It's not I'm making the point. When we're talking about what we got to talk about before you guys walked in, is Logan said, I need to understand social media more. Whether, and this is the other thing I really liked about what Casey said. Casey and this other guy that was on this video. They said Facebook stands for free. The F in Facebook stands for free.
Sure.
It is a free way to, boom, free way to, and Alex, you do a great job of taking a picture and posting when people have closed. You should be telling every one of your friends, I need your help.
When I do boosted posts, I pay to have it just
Yeah, but I'm
blasted.
talking about when you say to your friends, you send out an email to your friends or a text or however you say, hey, anytime I post something about what I'm doing in real estate, I would love for you to click share and say, hey, congrats to my friend Alex, right? Because that's where the power of it is. That's where the absolute power is. And the other thing I'll say to you is I continue to be stunned by what people react to that I post. I'll put something on that I think is really going to create a lot of energy, and I get nothing. And then I post something else, and it just blows up, right?
I think it has a lot to do with, one, Facebook algorithms, which drive me nuts. But 2, the time of day that you make a post, whether it's 8:30 in the morning or between 4:30 and 6:30, I've noticed, or even during lunch, right at 12, there's a huge difference if you post it those 3 times a day, because those are when people are.
Right.
Don't do 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Don't do 2 in the morning. I've started to pay attention to it. Like, when do people, unless it's a boosted posts don't matter. They're going to get likes and shares no matter what.
And you do that, and they for the
I do
$30
both.
or $25, whatever they charge.
Usually spend like 10 or 15. I
That's
probably spend about $50
I noticed
a
it
month.
coming up, and I
I guess I keep on asking this because I don't keep on Facebook. I will get emails occasionally that says Alex posted something.
Yeah.
But I don't get that with regularity. It depends. And maybe that's the algorithm thing. But I'll get like I'll send an email that says it's so-and-so's birthday. But a lot of times I don't.
That's different.
And that you have fed through your email, which I don't.
I don't feed through it. They seem to
You're talking
decide.
about on the Facebook app, we don't have a notification that will say that it's someone's birthday.
Well, he said through
No, I get an email.
Yeah, see, my mother, every single thing.
But
on
it's
Facebook.
not regular. It's very
I
random.
created this is just what my generation does. I have an email address that I send every dumb thing. Like, anytime I order Domino's, anytime I sign up for something, I don't want to get emails telling you that it's people's. I probably should for their birthdays, but I look in advance, like Michael does, and find out whose birthday it is that week, and try the people that I'm closest with. At least try and send them a Facebook message, and then I'll send them a personal text message.
Right.
Trying to do it that way, but I avoid the email method from Facebook, because then you're just seeing.
Yeah, and as I say, it's not,
app
and it's not, at least in my view, it's not rhyme or reason. I used to get them all the time. Now I get them occasionally.
Well, also probably they know everything about you, that you're not on Facebook. Right?
Yeah.
So you're not circulating.
That's
right.
Yeah.
Right.
I think you can change it.
Yeah, I really, frankly, don't like it.
I have a goal of cutting down on Facebook personal use, and every time I go for personal use, stop getting my personal use, go to my business use, but also LinkedIn.
I've liked it too.
I think the answer to your question, though, whether you want to do it or not. The question is, have you signed up for Messenger? Facebook?
No,
That's where the consistency comes.
Yes.
So like every morning, I get an email that says whose birthday it is that day.
yes,
That are friends of mine on Facebook.
Right.
Every morning. I get a scroll, and then I can go on Facebook and do whatever I want to do.
right.
And that's probably where you get maybe something from Alex. I don't know how you would get an email saying that Alex has posted something. That doesn't.
Well, my mom does that. I think it's in your Facebook settings. You can ask that everything that
Yeah.
comes through email. I mean.
But mine is not everything,
overwhelms
as I
you.
say, it's bizarre.
Anyway, so the point being is, I truly believe, even if you don't like it, getting yourself if you don't have one already, having a business Facebook page is critically important, and managing that and encouraging your friends to help you with it. That's where you're really going to get, like, even an open house. I'm holding an open house on 12345 Davis Road on Sunday. Please stop by and have your friends, ready to, whenever they see something from you, to share that out. I mean, one of the things you could do, just talking off the top of my head here now, but one of the things you could do is, for the fun of it, say, during the month of February, any post I send out, if I see you've shared it, you're going to be entered into a drawing for a Starbucks card for $10. Just to have some fun with your friends and say, because it'll show you who shared it. You can track, who shared those things, and just do something like that. So it's sort of like that Pavlov's dog, behavioral psychology, where they got a chance to win a Starbucks card, and then the next month you do something, and all of a sudden, even if you're not offering anything, they're now programmed to share it, and they're doing it because they want to help you. I mean, yeah, they want a Starbucks card, but they want to help you. They want to help you grow your business. So it could be open houses. It can be, just closed. It could be, hey, I just got a new listing. It could be, here's the Roy Wheeler newsletter. I mean, there's things that, that you can put on there that are legitimate, or, you may or may not know that because you're a member of the Virginia Realtor Association, you get free access to Inman News. It's a free subscription. All you have to do is go on the Virginia Realtor site and sign in, and you can set up a free subscription, and you get emails from them, and they got great stuff. I mean, I don't look at it every day, but it's very informative. But the reason I really like it is because it gives me a link to interesting articles that I can send out to you guys. You'll see me send things to you from Inman sometimes to, consumers. I use it for my radio show. So all sorts of different things. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to have people go to your Facebook page because they know they're going to get good information. Maybe they see the post, great, but then, as an example, some of you know I post something every morning around 7:30. It's a positive, motivational type of scenario. Sometimes it's got a Bible passage. Sometimes it's, John Schmaltz, the Hall of Fame pitcher, talking about better versus bitter, whatever it is. But I have people that tell me that they start their morning by going to my Facebook page to see what I posted that day, because I've been doing it for so long, and because they found it. Dick is one of my biggest followers, Barb's husband. But the point being is, I have people stop me on the street and say, people that I don't really even know that well, will say, hey, I just want you to know that I really appreciate you trying to bring some positive energy into the world in the morning when there's so much negative stuff that's going on there. So, and so then what I do is, with that, I do that, and then every so often I post out things about Roy Wheeler on there. So they're coming there, and then they're seeing Roy Wheeler, and then hopefully they go on the Roy Wheeler page and they like that page. And so anyway, bottom line is, just the energy of it, of just having your friends helping you get that promoted out. It used to be, I'm teaching it Thursday, the personal promotion class. I used to have a graphic that showed sort of like those carnival mirrors where you stand in front of one and they're just, there you are in infinity, right? You want to get in the right mirror, right? You don't want the one that's like this.
Right.
You don't want the one that's like this. You want to have the right mirror. But the point being is, it used to be that they said that for every person that you touched, you impact 200 people. Well, that's just out the door now with social media. You touch somebody positively or negatively, and the impact of that could be thousands, hundreds of thousands you know, millions. I was trying to think, I was watching golf on Sunday, and they showed this really cool video of this Down syndrome young woman playing the 16th hole with Gary Woodard and Matt Kuchar. And she parred the hole. She hit it. I mean, I don't know where she started from, but she hit the ball, got in the sand. She knocks it out of the sand. She makes the putt. and she's like, I don't know, 10 years old, maybe 12, whatever. But PGA Tour, which is a huge social media, most views of anything they've ever posted.
Wow.
Tiger Woods, Jack Nicklaus, Arnold Palmer, most views ever was this little 3-minute video of this kid. You know, and I forget what her Twitter handle is. It's like dances and golfs or something. You know, her 2 favorite things are dancing and golf. And so she's at such and such at dances. No, at such and such dances and golf for it. But anyway, more views on that than anything that they've ever posted. It shows you people are starving
Positive,
for
feel good.
positive, feel good. Things are right with the world, even though so much stuff is a mess. So anyway, great question. And those are kind of things that you do. I told Logan, because you guys are here, Jay and I just nailed down Brittany for March 13th. So if you're interested in getting a one-on-one with Brittany, CJ, and get on the calendar, because those things go really fast. She'll do a program that day during Jay's Lunch and Learn. He's going to do Lunch and Learn that day and have Brittany talking about impact of social media. Okay, other things. What other things are you running across or frustrated with or happy about or whatever that we can share with each other?
Well, I have a couple of questions I was asking Alex the other day, and he goes, I don't know. He said, I'm not sure. Check with Michael. That might be a good class. And it's just more of you.
Oh, me.
Yes.
That's confusing.
Yeah. We got the twins here. We got the Twin Towers.
And it's more just wanting to know the right or the wrong, the do or the don't. 2 situations where I've seen, I have a friend who has a house that she wants to sell, but she's gone with somebody else. But that realtor had it for a month on the MLS. They took it off. I've since, just in the past 3 weeks, seen an ad for the house, no MLS number. It's not in the MLS. So when can you do something
With the same realtor?
same realtor?
I mean, in the ad, the same realtor?
Same realtor in the ad, but it's not listed on the MLS, and there's nothing in the
Oh,
thing. It's
yes.
an ad.
Yes.
And then the other situation was a home that I'd seen with, the first time I saw it, it had a big wooden sign, in the ground for sale. Couldn't find it anywhere on the MLS. Went to the realtor site, went everywhere, could not find it. Next thing you know, it's got under contract on it.
Yep.
I can't find it. So then I see one day, checking my hot list in the morning, it expired. But it was with another realtor the same day that the one with the sign put it in and under contract, and then it closes. So I'm really confused as to the logistics of advertising, putting a sign up. It's not in the MLS. I just want to know what's the right, what's the wrong.
Okay, so you have 2 different
2
situations.
different scenarios.
The first situation is was on the market, it's off, now they're advertising it. What you should do is send an email to support@car.com, I think is what the email address is, or Ian, I-A-N, or Leah, L-E-A-H, at car.com, saying, can you please check with this realtor to see if they have in their listing agreement property not to be in the MLS until they get written notification from the seller. If they have that in the listing agreement, then they're okay.
So what they've done is they've listed the property with an agreement not to put it on the MLS, but anybody can drive by with their realtor or call on it and then still make an offer. And when it gets and when it closes, you then open it up, enter it, and close it.
Well, and not only that, but there are other companies which will remain nameless, but the initials are LW, that do coming soons that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know, they do coming soons, and so I will send something saying, can you check to see? Right. And in most situations, they have it written in their agreement that it's not, so they can send the coming soons out because they
can get an offer basically before it ever.
Right, but what I don't understand about it, I mean, certainly in certain situations, what you would call a private exclusive listing, which is what this is, makes sense. There's an elderly person who's sick in the house. There's a dog that's going to bite your leg off. So they're trying to get it sold without the hassle of having it on the market. I get that, but in most situations, that's not the case. And I have two, sort of thought processes on this. One is, if you're going to send an email out to all the realtors, why not put in the MLS? I mean, you're sending that email coming soon to everybody.
Yeah.
So why not just put it in the MLS? I don't understand. Second thing is, when they send those emails out, there's no offer of compensation in it.
No, I've noticed
You have
that
to
too.
put that in there.
No, we're the only ones that do.
We're the only ones that do it.
On the coming soon,
Yeah, I
You
started
watch those
paying-
emails, it never says what
Mason
you.
Gunther didn't have a 3% buyer broker thing in there. He must, guy, how can you not? I wouldn't show it.
Well, so again, in most situations,
MLS.
it's not in there. If it's in the MLS, you have an offer of compensation.
Right.
But if it's a coming soon,
Right.
then you have to call that agent and say, hey, and make what do this, but hey, Macon, it's Alex, how you doing? Great. Hey, I got the coming soon. I might have somebody who's interested in this $2.75 million property, which would be great. But I just got to make sure, what's the offer of compensation on it? And here's the thing that's really scary. I'm not saying Macon. Most realtors are going to respond to you, well, the typical 3%. Well, that's an antitrust violation right there, because the commissions are negotiable. But agents will say, well, yeah, the typical 3%. Well,
How would you answer that correctly?
I would not get into it. I would just say, so it's 3%? And they say, yes. Hey, great. I'm going to shoot you an email saying that I'm going to show the property and that we've agreed that if I bring you a contract that goes to closing, you're going to pay me 3%. That's what you need to do.
They can't not have it listed in the MLS with a coming soon and then like put 2.5% on the commission or something. Or could they?
If it's in the MLS, the offer
It's
of
not-
compensation,
It's not going to be in the MLS.
they can put 0.
Right.
That's my point.
So they can put coming soon with nothing on it, and then they can go list it and then try to,
No.
That's
They're two
screwed
different
over.
things.
Yeah.
You've got it listed.
Mhm.
You've got a listing agreement
You have to list
that says
with the offer.
that it's not going to go in the MLS until you get written notification from the seller.
Right.
But you send a coming soon out, you haven't offered compensation yet.
Right.
So you could, not that it's going to happen, but you could go and show that property. Your people fall in love with it. You write the contract and you find, oh, it's only 1%.
Mhm.
Because you never asked.
Yeah.
Or it could be 0 because you never asked. And you're going to lose that. If you took that to arbitration, you would lose because you don't have anything in writing in regards to compensation. You're going to see it more. Again, we're getting down to the rabbit hole, but you're going to see it more and more as, you know how bears are being seen more often in places they've never been seen before. Why is that?
No, there's just more of them and there's more food sources. They're not
They're
being.
forced out of their habitat. There are more of them. There's forced out of their habitat.
I don't know that they're being out.
Because they can't find food.
Yeah.
So they're going other places to
Yeah.
find food.
And sloppiness upon
And there's a really
But-
high barrier.
So now replace that with
That's-
realtors and lack of inventory.
Yeah.
You've got realtors in Culpeper who don't have enough to sell there, so they're taking their people into northern Madison or Green or Orangeburg, but they're not members of CAR. So
I've
they
been
call
getting
you,
quite a few emails from agents that
they call you up and say, hey, I'd like to show your property located on, whatever
Right.
road you want to be in Green, right? And I want to show the property tomorrow. Great. They show it. They write a contract. They don't have an offer of compensation because they're not a member of our MLS.
you have to get something.
So if you're gonna do the opposite, if you've got somebody who wants to be in Culpeper and you find a property that's not listed in our MLS, it's in the Greater Piedmont, you got to call that agent and say, I'd like to show this property. And oh, by the way, can you tell me what the offer of compensation is on that? And because I need to get something in writing that we've had.
It's like when I sold the property in Waynesboro to an agent who was from Northern Virginia, and she was in a different.
Right, exactly right. So anyway, the point of all that is, so that answers your first question, right? So what I do when I see those is not every time, but fairly regularly, CAR gets an email from me saying, can you please check with this agent? Because I want that agent to know people are watching and that they better have that in writing. I personally think, and this is not that company, I think a lot of agents do not explain to the seller that putting a coming soon is could create a disservice to them because they're not going to get the full exposure to the property by going to MLS.
Right.
And therefore they might not get 3 offers instead of 1 offer. And they may not get a higher offer instead of a lower offer. Whatever. I think that I've been fighting for it, haven't won yet. I think there should be an addendum. If you're gonna modify the listing agreement to say that it's not to be shown until you have the right to market the property, but it's not to be in the MLS until you get written permission from the seller. I think there should be an addendum that explains this is what is happening when you do this. It's not being marketed out to, into the MLS for all to see. It doesn't then go on car.com, mycar.com. It doesn't go on realtor.com. It doesn't go on Zillow. And so all of a sudden your exposure is very limited, and exposure limited, you're not going to get as many showings, and it could cost you money. That's what I think. I would like to see sellers have to sign and acknowledge that, because even if it's just very simple bullet points, it makes the seller ask the question, what do you mean it's not going to be on Zillow? What do you mean it's not going to be on realtor.com? What do you mean because I want that exposure. Well, until we put in the MLS, it can't be put in there. 15, 16 years ago, when we started the office in Wintergreen Real Estate did not check the IDX box, the information data exchange box, which means when they got a listing and put it in the MLS, it didn't go anywhere else but to their website. People didn't know the seller didn't know that other agents didn't know about their listing because they were trying to sell them themselves. When we opened up the office at Wintergreen, we literally printed out all the listings on the mountain, packages that people could come by the office and pick them up. The seller started going to Wintergreen and said, why isn't my listing showing up on the Wintergreen website? And they finally had to explain, well, we don't click that button. And they said, well, by God, you're going to click that button. And so they now click on the information data exchange, which they wouldn't before because they wanted to try to sell them themselves. So that's the first answer. The second answer is, I think what happened in that situation is it was a coming soon or a private exclusive. They marketed it. No, it was on the market, came off the market. Yeah, this is what I think happened. They withdrew it, okay? They then decided to list with another agent early on off the market. So if it is a listing off the market, the clock keeps ticking because you can put it back on. And withdrawn means you still have an active listing agreement. You're just taking
A date.
Right.
Watch that date. I screwed up on that Meadowbrook listing on that date, and my client got pissed. Because all of a sudden,
That's right.
I didn't catch it in time, and all of a sudden her phone's ringing 7. Every agent in town is calling her. She's calling me, screaming, "You promised me that wouldn't happen." I said, "Oh God, I screwed that one up." But interesting what we're talking about. What happened to me this weekend was I got a showing scheduled for noon Saturday. I had a showing scheduled with noon, and so I run into Bud Trickle, who owns a house Park Street that Sally DeBose had on last fall. I'm showing right now. He said, how's your listening to it? And he said, I'm having a showing right now. He said, well, I just finished a great show. And I said, but you're not on the market. Right, I took the sign that we had in the back that Sally left from last fall, and I just stuck it in front. And
The other agent sign?
Bud Finkel's house.
Okay, sorry. I'm thinking of Bud being an agent just put this sign.
No, he just takes the sign that Bud had. He said,
I'm sorry, I got you.
I decided to stick it on the front lawn. And then David Farrell called him up too. He said, well, I had him in there before you for a good 45 minutes. And I said, well, I was there 50 minutes there. Neither one of us.
So, I mean, is this on the market?
No. And I said to him, I said, but your listing is not on the market. But what are you waiting for? What's Sally waiting for? She goes, well, Sally feels that we want to see how the weather's doing and what's going to happen. And we're going to go maybe the end of maybe Washington's birthday or the very beginning of March. Realty open house the other day, and I didn't sit for the entire 2 hours.
Well, and a good example, one of the things I was going to bring up, again, being part of the conversation on social media, Roxanne Carter Johnson posted yesterday that anybody that didn't hold an open house on Sunday was crazy. She had 27 people through. I don't know where it was, but it was
Birthday one.
Well, she has one on,
Brown or
I went last week.
anyway.
Yeah. it's on the
27,
website.
Wow.
27 people, 6 neighbors, 2 interested possible clients during that open house. And so, the point being is that when you right now, with the lack of one house, they one is not being terminated.
Right.
So technically, well, no, but technically, you as an agent shouldn't be calling that seller because the withdrawn means that it's still currently listed. Now,
You call the agent, you don't call the actual
that's what I'm
seller.
saying. You don't call the
Yeah.
seller, but people are. People are thinking that the withdrawn is just like an expired, so they're calling sellers and saying, would you like to relist?
Mm.
Now you've gone behind the sign. And not intentionally, because you just think, okay, it's withdrawn, therefore I have the right to talk to that seller. No, you don't, because they still have an active listing. It's just withdrawn for whatever reason. And Carr just, came out in the last month or so with clarification of that withdrawn does not mean
Right.
that the listing has been terminated. So
How long does it have to be out of the market, off the market, before you can relist it again and have it be a new clock?
I think it's 120 days.
So could she be, withdrawn wouldn't take care of
I don't know what she did at Christmas time,
Right.
whether she withdrew it or it expired. I didn't look at that.
it. But you could
I gotta
have
go back now and look and see exactly where her property was and where is it now.
because she could have an agreement, let's say they're friends or whatever, and she said, okay, we've sat around here this fall, we lowered the price, nothing's happened, wintertime's slow. Let's take it off the market, so when we reintroduce it, months from now, the clock starts again, and, I don't officially, well, I guess you could write it up.
You can
I
write
still
it
have
down. You can
yeah.
withdraw it from the market at Christmas time.
Right,
You don't have to, though. You just extend your listing. You got a listing, let's just say you got a listing expires
Right.
December 31st. You cross out December 31st and you put April 1st or
Right.
March 15th.
Yeah.
You still have an active, valid listing agreement. But it says, again, in the remarks, seller agrees to remove property from MLS, and agent agrees not to put it back in the MLS until they have a written notification.
and when it goes back in the MLS, getting back to my question, the clock starts again.
That's right.
Okay,
That's if it's been 100.
yeah, yeah.
And
that's
don't
new,
don't
right?
quote me on that. No, that's
Last
always
year.
been the case. That's always been the case. It hadn't been an extent. Now, what some people are doing, and we, you know, you can call Roy Wheeler a lot of things, but you can also call us a watchdog. One of our agents sent something in the car the other day with a company that has a tendency to somehow manipulate the address, withdraw it, manipulate the address, put it back in, so it resets the current days on market. You know, like waiting 120 days, they'll put in
I know what they did.
an extra zero,
Or they take the northeast and put it in front instead of,
yeah, exactly.
and it makes look like.
Yeah. So our agent, I haven't followed up yet, but I saw an agent on this because they have a tendency to do it on a regular basis. I haven't had a chance to find out how they responded, but you know, those are the kind of things that MLS Group is always trying to make sure that people don't cheat.
Yeah.
And there's always little ways that you know, that you figure out different things. You know,
I'm just.
Certainly.
I went to a bunch of houses the past few weeks and found that some of them, at first you'd think, oh, wow, this has been on the market a while, like since fall or August even. Yeah, they haven't budged in price, so it should be open to negotiating. Well, then it's like they just caught people's attention now that we're into the season of, and so many of them are selling, even though they've been on the market for 4 or 5 or 6 months, just sitting there. Now people are jumping because.
Well, I'll give you a great example. I mean, I'm the first to say that I said that I thought that 2019 was going to be sort of a leveling off, not a downturn, but a leveling off. This week, we've had $3 million plus listings sell this week alone, and in different places, Keswick, Farmington, off of Rugby Road. So, you know, 3 different, 2 of them we represent the buyers, and 1 was our listing, which is encouraging me that price range seems to have gotten pretty active, which I know surprises you.
Well, I don't know.
I mean, just because
That's basically why when I saw the topic for Ohio, I came in just to see it. I don't know what is happening out there. My listing came on 2 weeks Thursday. I've had 5 showings.
How big was your open house, you said? Or was that a broker's tour?
It was a broker's tour. I had 22 agents came through.
Yeah, what's the, I should know, but what's the listing, what's the price?
1950.
So it's up there.
Yeah,
That's good.
it's North First Street. I mean,
Yeah.
is it second?
Yeah.
No, sorry.
I was looking on the other end of it. It was almost too low of a price to find anything in Charlottesville.
Yeah.
You're looking at
Right.
Lake Monticello.
Well, but I will tell you, just as an example of why why one of the reasons I want to have this conversation, because you got to understand the market. All right, so you've had 22 agents come through. That says there's real interest in what's going on downtown. That people have buyers, that they want to know what's out there. But the fact that you get 5 showings and no contracts yet means that you're at a price range and a type of property that is going to take a particular type of person, right?
Exactly.
Whereas this one on, Field, it was listed for like 1.4 million. And we brought a buyer to that. It's under contract. Farmington, we brought a buyer to that contract. And then Sharon has a property out on Milton.
That was fast.
In Keswick, yeah, 2 weeks, low set, whatever, and she got all cash offer. But the point being is you got to understand, because like, an area, anybody that's heard me talking in the fact that at some point Dad and I want to downsize, so we're looking at areas closer to Benembecca and stuff. And there's several properties right now that are on the market off of Rugby Avenue and Rosehill Drive that have not gone under contract. And they're in the fours.
Right.
Right? And
There's one on Rugby that we went to the open house.
Finally, it's pending.
Jamie White.
Jamie White.
oh, he did get a
It's
contract.
Yeah, he finally went under contract. But he was-
That's on-
And
That's on
he
the,
worked that. He really worked that listing. I mean,
Every weekend, every Tuesday,
weekend.
every Sunday.
Realtor open houses. I mean, he was working that.
it's,
And every time I talked to him, he said, I'll sell it. I'll sell it. It's just going to take some time.
Yeah.
Patience.
And what did it start at?
It started close to 800. It was like
$795,
right.
somewhere,
He dropped it down.
$785,
He dropped it down.
$739 or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Dropped it down in the 730s, and now
It's
he's
probably sold in the sixes, right?
I would think it's high sixes. Probably sold.
So-
most recent is 739.
Okay.
So there's one at the corner of Welford and Oxford that Steve McLean has, is coming soon.
Oh,
Ooh.
cute house.
Yeah,
Every
that
time.
I texted him and just asked him, and it's coming on at $895.
Great.
I mean, it's a cute little house, but
Right.
Little
$895,
house.
that's.
Right. And that area really took off last year.
Right,
We
but-
were
Yeah, he's
surprised
trying to
that
get one down the
Patriots
street.
listing.
That's right.
It's in the high sevens. We all looked and scratched our heads and go, he's had his mind
Right,
off of
right.
Rosehill
And he got full
Drive.
price.
And he got
Yeah.
full
And then
price.
they spent even more money on it.
Yes,
Yes,
they changed the
But,
fencing.
but there's one on Oxford, there's
One on Cambridge.
Cambridge.
And Roxanne's, you asked for Roxanne, Bruce. It's in
Yeah,
Roxanne.
Bruce.
And that's a little, it looks like a little house.
Right.
Cute.
But again, my point being is, those would have had multiple contracts on them a year ago, on the first day.
Right.
And yet, they gotta know the market. And it feels like, I mean, Benembecca showed, they texted me yesterday their real estate assessment, and it skyrocketed. I mean,
Really?
it went up, I think it went up $60,000-$70,000, it went up 20%.
Really?
Really?
Because
For-
of some of those houses that
Because of
sold.
what happened last year, whereas next year, I think it'll probably go down a little bit. Because again, but the point being is, so important for you to know the market. So important that when you're working with buyers or you're working with sellers, that the more you can preview and be out there and just get a rhythm of what's happening in the marketplace, the better you are going to be able to serve your clients. You can run the numbers and those kind of things, but that's why I encourage you every day to look at the hot sheet. Even if it's just just go down at one time and back up again. It just gives you a feel. And for me, and I've shared this before, when I look at that hot sheet, I look at what's come on the market, and I look at a couple things. Whoa, there's still not much coming on the market. There's only 9 new listings or whatever. I look at what's pended.
Pending is important.
And again, I look at the pending to see how many there are, but then I look and see what price ranges it was. And then obviously I look at the sold, but I don't worry about the solds as much because that's old news to me, right? I want to know what's happening right now to be able to guide you all, to counsel you all. But for you all, you should be doing that to say, all right, which open house do I hold open? If I'm looking at those pendings for a week and I can see what the trend is as far as what's going on in the contract, I'm going to go find a Roy listing that's in this price range or in this location and say, hey, can I hold this open? Because I know that there's activity there. And so I just think it's so important. Not that it hasn't always been important, but I just think it's so important to really understand the market. And that hot sheet can, just a 5-minute look at it every day. I mean, I get that thing, I look through it, whatever, and it goes to recycling. I don't keep them or whatever. It's just a snapshot of that particular day.
I look at that pending 5 times a day.
Yeah. So if any of you come in and talk to me about things, I feel like I have an idea as to what I can tell you as to what's going on. I mean, example, who would have known, unless you did that, that Greene County had picked up so significantly over the last 3 or 4 months. Unless you're watching those pending, whoa, look at that, whoa, look at that. You wouldn't know it because, what you hear is different. I wasn't surprised at the end of the year when the report came out and Greene County was one of the only areas that actually had more pendings in the last quarter than others because I watched that hot sheet on a regular basis.
One disadvantage of not watching it, if you go for several days, then you go on and it's so many of them. And when you go down, you open one up and, do that for a few and all of a sudden it times out because you didn't go fast enough, I guess. It's so frustrating.
But you can go back and search
regularly.
by last day. You don't have to.
Mine does it daily. It just refreshes every day.
Yeah, but when you go in and set up the hot sheet, you probably have yours set up as the last time you did it.
Yeah.
Whereas you can set it up for the last 24 hours. If you want to just
the auto hot sheet, that's the one I like to go on.
Right.
But that's the one that'll time out if it's.
Yeah, well, Mary is the guru on the hot sheet, so I am trying to tell you what to do, and I've never run one, so ask Mary if I'm wrong, but I think you got a way to set it up that it will show you what's just happened in the last 24 hours,
Yeah.
not so because if you miss 3 or 4 days, you're right, it's just
Yeah,
gobbledygook.
but I'd rather, instead of missing them, I'd rather have them there even though it's hard to get.
Now again, it just happened, but February 1st is a critical day to look at that hot sheet because of how many things expire. Now, even if you're not marketing yourself for expires, which I think you should be, but even if you're not, it tells you something too. What's expired? What price ranges were those listings that expired? What locations expired? That shows you if those houses were on the market for at least 90 or 120 days or maybe longer and expired and didn't get contracts on them. So that's just another real quick glimpse of where the market is.
Those ones that you said that went fast just recently, how long have they been on the market for a long time?
Yeah.
Do they lower the price pretty significantly or not
Some
necessarily?
of them not. And then that sort of shows maybe.
I think there's some pent up demand is what it's showing because this fall, when it was good exercise, but I had a woman from out of town and I probably showed her around for 8 days. I mean, I probably looked at 30 houses from here, Wintergreen to Glenmore, but it was very narrow price. She wanted old, like from 500 to 750 or whatever. And you see it, but what you realize is there wasn't a ton of inventory in that price. And what we learned, I would be setting up an open house when she was coming in. I would be setting up some viewings when she was coming into town. She was coming to town, let's say a Tuesday, and there were like three times I had somebody was putting an open house on a Sunday, and it was under contract Sunday night.
Yeah.
I had set up the appointment for Monday or Tuesday, and it was done. And it because I think they were all in town, so I think there was pent up demand there at certain price ranges and certain locations.
I think the thing
There's just
that happened
nothing
in
there.
our situation too, though, is hers were in a lower price range. And again, the market settled down at the end of the year. We're back into the first of the year. Interest rates have settled. They were going up and they dropped back a little bit. Not that they're going to drop back a whole lot. And so I think some people re-entered the market because, whoa, this thing dropped down, but statistics are showing that it's going to go up. So now's the time that I should be doing something to gain
Sense of urgency.
What little opportunity there is. Now the good news is that pretty much what we're hearing is the feds are not going to make the number of adjustments that they thought they were going to make in 2019, which should keep the mortgage interest rates somewhat stable. That's what we want. We want people to know what it is that they can count on versus this. I think part of the reason the end of the last quarter was the uncertainty of, especially with new construction, if I do this, what is the interest rate going to be 120 days or 150 days from now when I close? Well, now I think there's some certainty there that it will be, and obviously, again, adapting to the market. Builders have gotten lenders to do 120-day locks, 150-day locks. It may be a little bit higher than what you could get on a 30-day lock, but at least they know what it's gonna be. They know they can afford that monthly payment, and so that they can move forward with it. So.
I have a situation with the one that just went under contract that I have the buyers. I'm not sure. It expired right after we got it written up, and the agent, so it showed expired. And I've been thinking that it's important for a listing to stay active throughout the process until closing. So I encouraged the agent, who's also the seller is the owner also. He's an investor. I said,
Seller is the owner.
agent is
Seller's
the
always
owner.
gonna be the owner.
Agent is the owner.
Okay.
Yeah, what? Oh,
The agent
Since
is
the seller is the owner.
Yeah, okay, right. I said.
Although in Alex's situation, he is a seller right now that isn't the owner. So. Sorry. Go ahead.
So I encouraged him, we really need to get that, to extend the listing, get it back on the market and put pending, so that it takes us through closing. And I think that would also be good for you as an agent, for people to see that he has a pending. But what happens if he does? He's leaving for England for like 3.5 weeks. And I'm really nervous about him being so far away, but what happens if it just stays expired?
So in that situation, it's not a problem, because your contract was written while it was still active. Therefore, when you entered the property, you accepted the offer of compensation that's in the MLS, which he's offered you.
Right.
So even though it expired, even though he's, in this situation, he's the owner agent, let's say he wasn't, even though it expired, the seller can't say, well, the listing's expired, therefore we don't owe it anymore, because you entered into the agreement while everything was still active. The rest of it is absolutely true. It makes sense for him to have it in there as pending, but he's probably an agent that doesn't do a lot of business, so he doesn't care. He doesn't care for the
Stats.
the stats.
He's getting the money out of his investment. That's what he cares about.
So
I personally would want to have it be pending, but yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Well, and in his situation
Well,
too, with this
buyer
particular
versus-
situation, it's a 1031 exchange. So, again, he's not concerned about, he's just concerned about getting that investment property sold and identifying another property.
Yeah.
It sounds like to me, he's a less than active agent.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was just in the MLS for finding you, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't really care
Yeah, he
about it.
hadn't really expected it to sell before it expired.
Yeah,
So
what
all
will
of a sudden-
happen, let's just take it all the way through. You go to closing, right? It's still there, and then you can go to CAR. And because you wanted to show up as you being the agent, and so you go to CAR and say, this MLS number, blah, 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 but it has gone to closing. He'll get one of those friendly emails from CAR.
Please
Saying,
list disclosed.
you need to update this. It has a different status now. If you don't do it within X amount of time, you're going to get fined. That may get his attention. And I wouldn't do it now because you want it to go nicely, but you could actually send one of those confidential emails now that says, it's my understanding this property that's showing is not on the market anymore is actually under contract pending. And then they would send to him saying, it's come to our attention that blah, blah. And then, but you don't want to do that because you're probably the only person that knows that.
Yeah.
And so,
Well,
yeah, there you go. But she would get blamed for it,
My buyer
and
was
you're trying to be a win-win to get that thing closed.
So your buyer's worried.
I was worried the other day when all of a sudden this was off the market.
Yeah.
And that's all, because mostly through Zillow.
Right.
It is,
And you just have to explain to that buyer that we've got a ratified, enforceable contract, and therefore the fact that it's not showing up in the MLS doesn't make any difference.
What's your feeling about, I wouldn't do it, but I got an email from an agent somewhere that it was a coming soon and it didn't say the price.
I don't like that. That drives me
I think
nuts.
it's ridiculous.
I've seen
these
that a few
days.
times lately too.
So technically, that's an invalid listing agreement.
Right.
You cannot have a valid listing agreement without a price in the listing agreement.
Even
Well, I think it is.
even for the coming soon email, it has to have
So it was coming soon, I guess. But I think these days with transparency and email, the internet and stuff, that drives people nuts.
So there's two different things. One is if the listing agreement has a price, but they're trying to get people to call because it's $895 and they thought it was going to be $500,000, but they're trying to get people to call.
Right.
that's a different question, because if the seller gives the listing agent permission to market the property that way, then it can be done. It's similar to like if you go to the Daily Progress, sometimes you'll see an ad in there and it won't have a price. It'll show the property, but it won't have a price because they're trying to get you to call to get the
Right.
price.
Yeah.
Like you said, that drives a client, customer crazy. But they can do it in that situation because it's not in the MLS. If it's in the MLS, Zillow, Realtor.com, they're not gonna, you can't put something in the MLS without a price on it. But if you don't have it in, if you've got the agreement like we talked about, and the seller says, well, let's just see, we'll have an example. There's a seller who's thinking about listing with us. He's talking to several different agents. And we've been going back and forth with the guy. And he wants his cake and eat it too. He said, well, why don't you just take a 2-month listing and let me see how you work. And then we'll decide whether or not we're going to, extend it. If you do what all the things you're going to do, then blah, blah. Or better yet, we want to put in the market. You just go ahead and start, reaching out to your sphere of influence and see if you can sell it. This guy's a wheeler dealer. He's a nice guy, but he's just a wheeler dealer. But the point being is that you've got a scenario there where, he obviously has an idea of what price he wants it to be at. He wants to, sort of test the market at that price because he doesn't want to waste his time by being on the market. Well, as we've tried to share with him, that's all well and good, but we want something in writing that if we do find the person, that we're going to get compensated. Because he said, well, obviously you get compensated. Well, no, let's look at it this way. I call Alex, who is an investor, and I say, Alex, we've got this property that I think you might be interested in. Not only does it, have a main floor, but it's got a really nice apartment at the bottom, so you have double rent, blah, blah. And Alex, thinks back and says, you know what, I don't think it's more for me, but you know what, I think Barb has been looking for something like that. So then Alex calls Barb calls the seller, and it says, I'm interested in buying this. Well, seller doesn't know that Barb came through Alex, who came through us, right? And so we're cooked. We're out of the loop. So I said, we've said we're not doing anything unless we have something in writing that if something happens in X amount of time, that we're going to be compensated. So he was supposed to be talking to another listing agent yesterday. It's a great example. Again, challenges to the marketplace. This came to us because a person said there's nobody I could trust more than Michael. And yet, he's not trusting us. And the person he went for guidance said, this is the person I would trust more than anybody else. And yet he's not trusting her that he could trust me. So he's doing his own thing out there creating confusion. But anyway, those are the kind of things. And again, it's important to understand that in this market, you want to, we'll finish with this. Everything you're doing, you want to get it in writing. Because you never know what could happen. And if it happens and you don't have it in writing, you're cooked. So as an example, you've got somebody who's going to list, but they're not going to list until who used the example of President's Day? Oh, Sally. Let's use Sally. Sally knows that she's working with these people, and they're going to relist. In this situation, she's got listing. Pretend she doesn't. They're getting the thing ready to be on the market, and they're going to think they're going to come on the market at President's Day. She's all well and good. She's doing this. Alex comes along, writes a letter into that neighborhood and says, hey, I got somebody who's looking to buy in this neighborhood. Are you thinking about selling? That seller, because hopefully they would go to Sally, but let's assume they don't have that loyalty. They say, yeah, sure. So you do a one-time showing, get an authorization that you're representing the buyer, and if you bring them a contract, there's going to be a commission, and you show the property and they buy it. Guess who's out of luck? Sally. So what you do instead, and I'm sure Sally did this, but what you do instead is you say, I get that. I totally understand you're not ready for that, but let's go ahead and get the listing agreement signed down. Let's have in the remarks that the property is not going to be marketed until you give us written permission. And that way we can get the work done. We get some agents through, figure out price, that kind of thing. And then what happens is if Alex then calls that seller, the seller has to say, well, I'm already listed with Sally, right? You need to contact Sally to get, information in regards to what we're going to put on the market and that kind of thing. But if you don't have that in writing, it happens all the time where somebody comes in behind and says, hey, I have a friend who's looking in this neighborhood. And all of a sudden, you thinking you got this nice listing coming on the market, not only do you not have a nice listing coming on the market, you got nothing because they've sold it without you. And the same thing with the exclusive right to represent on the buyer side. You know, that you want to have something in writing as to how it is you're going to be working with those people. And I think it should say, you know, residential real estate, including new homes and for sale by owners, blah, blah, blah. So you make it very clear to that buyer that I'm going to help you find the right house, whether it's an existing home, whether it's a for sale by owner, whether it's a new construction, because there are people out there, and I'll give you a great example, scary. There are people out there that are contacting friends and say, if you're thinking about, or friends or maybe even doing mailings, thinking about buying new construction, call me first. And the reason they're saying that is I just learned this by talking to an agent from another company the other day. There's a broker in North Carolina who is, how do I do this without it sounding wrong? I won't even use it. There's a broker in North Carolina that's marketing into a target market in Charlottesville. Now they obviously have a license in Virginia, or at least I hope they do, but they're in North Carolina. And they're marketing saying, Alex, if you're thinking about buying a new home, contact me first, because what they do is they have you go in and make them the agent of record. You walk in and say, I'm working with Logan, and Logan's it, and I'll rebate you 2% of the 3%. Because they're never coming up from North Carolina. All they're doing is they're just taking what the builder
Large
is.
referral fee.
Yeah, well, not even that, a finder's fee,
Finder's
right? And they didn't even find it.
Right.
They're having you go out and look at it, but they're saying to Stanley Martin or Craig, whoever, I'm using such and such. And so they put them on, and then when it closes, they never come up for 1 minute of this thing. They may get emails from them, but anyway, the whole point is they're going, you know, $500,000, $600,000 new home. I'm getting $6,000 just for putting my name on a piece of paper, right? So this agent lost a client she'd been working with for 6 months because they decided they were going to go new construction and said, you know, as much as I, you know, want to work with you, I've got these people that are going to, you know, rebate me 2% of the 3, you know, 2/3 of the commission. So that's why you want to have something in writing that if they're going to buy anything from you during this certain time, because then in that response, this agent could have said, well, I understand that. But you're still
So don't just fill out that line residential, fill out residential new construction.
A new home for somebody. And the reason I would do it
For
is
sale
it
by owner.
starts the conversation. When you get to that place and you say, what we're putting here is residential homes, including new home for sale, blah, blah, blah. They look at you and go, well, I don't need help with new construction. Well, that's when you have to educate them that you do.
Luckily, I've had clients that are at least dedicated enough to working with me, and or I haven't encountered where I would need to do that, but I will.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, the point being is, as we finish here, don't, even if they're your best friends, don't, I hate to say this, but don't trust them. You know, trust them once you have it in writing. You know, and by getting it in writing, if there are going to be objections or things, they're going to bring them up. When you write in new home, blah, blah, even by just body language, you're going to say, oh, wait, I hit a nerve, didn't I? You know, tell me what's going on here. Well, I didn't understand. Why do I need to use you for new construction? And then you walk through that. And if you need help with that, go to WINA.com, click on podcasts, go to Real Estate Matters. And about a month ago, I did a whole show on why people need to represent it. Or go to Roguler.com//newsletter. And the article this past month was on that very thing, as to why they need representation. So, and you can say that before we get together, I'm going to send you, because you're looking at new construction, I'm going to send you a couple of things. I'm going to send you an article my broker wrote. I'm going to send you a link to a radio show that talks about it. Because at the end of those, they're going to go, oh, wow, I didn't think about those things. And in most situations, they say, yeah, I do want to be represented in that scenario.
Very good.
All right?
I got one quick thing here.
Sure.
It's when Michael talks about the source. So I sold a client, friend, musician, downtown musician, pretty famous for Charlottesville. I sold him a condo in the 820 building last February, which is on the end of High Street. And he gives me a call the other day. Now, this guy is as close to, what is the word, a savant as you can get. He only is going to focus on music, piano, and I had to take him through the HOA. I had to actually sit with him. He wouldn't pay attention to the home inspection. I had to go through that with him, sentence by sentence almost. So he calls me up the other day and he says, Alex, I got this letter from the homeowners association. I'm being assessed thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Apparently the 820 building took off the one whole north side of that building and found that the water that was pouring in.
Oh, they're doing a special assessment.
They're doing a special assessment.
I thought when you said Savannah, I thought he got his real estate and he thought he was gonna have to pay that.
No,
The tax assessment.
No, he got a special assessment from the HOA, and he called me. Fortunately, that night I was at an event. Jeff Dreyfus, the architect, his office is in that building. So I said to Jeff, I said, what's going on over there? He just looked at me and he rolled his eyes. I said, when did this happen? He said, oh, sometime in the fall, a couple of months ago. And I said, and there's no insurance? This building is new. It's a 2005 building. Yeah. And you don't have insurance? And he goes, apparently not. I said, is anybody paying attention over there to anything that's going on? I said, you know, I've had things at Monticello Overlook, a 30-plus year building that they sued the owner for bad construction. And now you're going to charge, now they're charging the residents close to $10,000 a piece to do this. So I'm trying to help this guy out. I have no liability in this.
Yeah, I'd be careful.
He knows a lot of people.
I think you want to get him with an attorney in that situation.
But I told him, I said, are you talking to your neighbors? Have you met any of your neighbors? Have anybody else in the building been discussing? You've got to discuss this with the owners, with owners.
There's got to be some pushback on the master insurance policy, I would think.
I would think that he's
with a condo.
And I said, this is just not right. How many meetings have
How old is the building?
It was built in 2005.
Oh, so it's not brand new.
Well, it's a new building, basically, when you look at some of these other things that have gone to court. And
I looked a lot better in 2005.
we all do.
That's when I came here, and fresh and young, and
I was looking real good in 2005.
But I stressed to him that he's got to pay attention to what's going on. I said, how many letters did you receive? How long has this been going on? He says, I only got one letter. That's it. I said, no, that doesn't happen. I said, I've been on HOA boards in New York and Charlottesville for the past 30 plus years. And I said, no way are you going to charge people.
Without there being special meetings and people
and
voting,
fighting and voting and all this. I said, you can't. I said, don't do anything right now, but get out there and meet your neighbors and talk to them, because they got to be as
first person I meet is the president of the condo association.
Yeah.
Can I have a meeting with you and you guys tell me what you're doing about this?
And what's your relationship with the management? Real property.
I never.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
This worked out great. Thank you.
Thanks.